Welcome back to French Action. This video is for anyone taking an oral exam in French. And to make this video, I have asked Romonwrites, a YouTuber who lives in France, to give me permission to use his videos so that I can illustrate the don'ts, what not to say on the day of the exam. I also apologize for the bad words at the end of the video, but I think that it's important to know about it and not to say it on the day of the exam. This is Romonwrites, for those who don't know him, and I'm going to use two of his videos. The first one, Trick Questions in France, Episode 1, Boulogne-sur-Mer. Roman asks trick questions to young people, and I like it because it's very authentic French. In the other video, he introduces us to a new sport called parkour with two young guys. So if you don't know what parkour is, just go and watch the video. It's very informative and don't forget to subscribe to his channel. Vous êtes prêts? C'est parti! First of all, tu ou vous? That is the question. My first don't is don't use tu to your examiner. And in fact, you shouldn't be thinking about it because you were taught that if you don't know somebody, you use vous. So just use vous as you were taught. It is true that sometimes the examiner will use tu to you, especially if you are much younger. If you are in a secondary school, the exam may just run with using the tu, but this doesn't mean that you need to use tu to the examiner. And it's the same if you prepare for DELF A1, for example, where you will have to ask questions to your examiner. Make sure that you use vous. It would sound very weird to use tu to somebody you don't know. So just keep that in mind. Can I use any type of French during the exam? This picture is taken from the first video where I saw ouais. Okay, ouais, it's a way of saying oui. It's very colloquial and I would not advise you to use that in the exam. So if you want to say yes, just say oui as you know it. Not ouais. So now I'm going to show you something from another video that Romonwrites made, and it's called Living in the North. And he refers to a film which is called Bienvenue chez les Ch'tis, a film which I advise everybody to watch. It's very, very funny, very interesting as well. And I just took a screenshot of this where this gentleman said "hein," and that is the "hein" when you can't hear. It's very colloquial. Instead of saying pardon, excusez-moi, and so on, you just say "hein," and it doesn't sound nice at all. So I wouldn't advise you to say that to your examiner if you can't hear what he or she said, for example. And there's other ways of saying the same thing. You could say pardon, excusez-moi, pouvez-vous répéter s'il vous plaît, but not hein. In the same video, I saw ah oui donc, mais c'est vachement cool. And the problem I have with this is vachement cool. Because as an examiner, I heard that from a student and I was very surprised. I didn't know that students knew vachement cool. And vachement cool just means really, really cool. But even the word cool, I wouldn't use that in an exam. I would just say c'est vraiment sympa. So, my second don't is don't use colloquial French. Just a quick recap. If you want to say yes, just say oui and not ouais. And if you don't hear, don't say un, but pardon. Pouvez-vous répéter, s'il vous plaît? And I'm sure you've already been taught all these expressions. And if you really want to say vachement cool, remember, is vraiment sympa will work much better. Remember as well that vache is a cow, you know. So it sounds like cowly cool, not nice. You are going to see a clip where you will hear I don't know in various ways. First with the lady in jeans, and then with the young lad with the bag. Listen to what they say.
Je sais pas.
France.
Ok, en France, génial, bonne réponse.
Je sais pas. France. C'est la bonne réponse, c'est France.
So did you hear how she said it? Je sais pas. Je ne sais pas. That's really what she wanted to say. And the other one said something else. But remember, don't miss your negatives. So sometimes you want to say, je veux pas parler, I don't want to speak. But you really want to say, je ne veux pas parler. So you have learned that your negatives comes in pairs, okay? Ne before the verb and pas after, and that's what you're going to use on the day of the exam. What about hesitation? This young lad was asked a question and obviously he doesn't know, he hesitates and he goes, bah. That's what I'm talking about. You don't need to say bah. There's other ways to buy time, especially in the exam, and I'm going to show you how to go about it. I call them gap fillers. Don't use gap fillers. It doesn't sound nice at all. Words like ba, ben, that doesn't sound nice. What you could say, something like je réfléchis, I'm thinking. Okay, je réfléchis. And it's always good to say something so that the examiner knows that you have understood, but you are not sure about how to go about the answer, as opposed to just saying nothing at all. What's a bad habit in an oral exam? One of the bad habits, which I haven't heard in an exam as yet, but which could come up anytime, is this word quoi. Ça fait travailler les muscles quoi. You're going to hear that in France a lot, especially at the end of a sentence. It's just there to place an emphasis. And here they are talking about their sport, which is parkour. And he's saying, ça fait travailler les muscles, quoi? Because he cannot think of any other word. So he just put quoi at the end. I don't think it's a good word to put at the end of sentences in an exam.
Ça fait travailler beaucoup les muscles, quoi.
Ok, génial. Donc,
so the word quoi is used a lot in French, okay, but I wouldn't like you to use quoi during an exam. So you can see it at the end of sentences, as I've just mentioned before. You can also hear it for what. Tu fais quoi? What are you doing? And I know that you were taught qu'est-ce que tu fais or qu'est-ce que vous faites, but not tu fais quoi? Vous faites quoi? No. And the last one is the quoi. For example, you didn't hear well. It's the same thing as un, quoi? You shout quoi is not nice. So I would advise you not to use quoi in those three examples, because quoi can be used, of course, in French, but I'm just talking about those three examples. So just a quick recap. Quoi, don't use it if it's at the end of the sentences to place an emphasis. Just find another way of saying it. And vous faites quoi? Vous faites quoi le week-end? Qu'est-ce que vous faites le week-end is really what you want to say. Don't number 6, strictly no bad words. This is the bad word I'm talking about, the P word, which I'm not going to pronounce here. But you're going to hear it in the video.
Ouais.
So this P word really means whore. But you're going to find that the same way that in English we use the F word for anything really, is the same in French. Okay, so it can mean the F word of surprise, or the S word, especially if you use the P word followed by a de. When you say the F finishing with in, F in, then it means the same as the S word, okay? But in any case, you don't need to go deep into that. You're going to hear it a lot in France, but it's a very bad habit, and I would advise you against using that word for anything you want to say, especially during an exam. So a quick recap. You're not sure about what you have heard. You're not sure about what your examiner said. So what do you say to him or her? Can you remember? Pouvez-vous répéter s'il vous plaît? Or just répéter s'il vous plaît? That will work. What about this one? You don't understand the question, and you know you don't want to say or you don't want to ask the examiner to repeat, because you know that you don't understand the question and you don't know the answer. You could just say je suis désolé, mais je ne comprends pas la question. And what about this last one? You need some time to answer a question. What do you say to the examiner? You can just say une minute s'il vous plaît, or un moment, je réfléchis. Anything like that will work. So we've come to the end of this video, but you know, if you watch authentic videos, there's nothing wrong with that, but beware of the language. Don't use that kind of language in the exam. Well, I wish you all the best for the exam, and please don't forget to like it, share it, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. Au revoir!